So that was the objective of the Me Too. So how did Me Too actually get started?
After Weinstein, I think.
I'm sorry?
After this,
Weinstein.
the American
Harvey
producer.
Weinstein, yeah, right. So in 2006, Tarana Burke, Afro-American person, she started this whole thing about Me Too. So when she heard a story from a young 13-year-old girl about being, her black-colored person from Africa, she heard this story about sexual abuse. She started this for the colored people, that they can speak about it. It is nothing a taboo. So her idea was, when the young girl came and spoke to her about the incident of sexual assault, she was so dumbstruck that she couldn't tell her that, hey, me too, even I have faced it. Is what she wanted to tell, but she couldn't do it. But then later she thought about it and she created this entire Me Too movement, and she created a small documentary saying it is okay to talk about it. We are not alone, is what she wanted to say. And it actually peaked up in 2017 with Harvey Weinstein's claim that the abuse that came out, resulting in so many cases in US. So that is when it peaked up, wherein on one particular day, close to 4.7 million people started tweeting about this Me Too movement. And it got repeated in Facebook multiple times, so many people started talking about it. And thanks to Tanushree Datta that this came to India in 2018, last couple of months ago. And since then, more than 250 cases have been filed in the media. At least people have started talking about it, small cases across India, right? Some singer in Karnataka, singer in Chennai, singer in, the film media personalities in Bollywood, politicians. So many people have CEXOs from across country. Binny Bansal of Flipkart was the latest one that I read. So it is still a tip of the iceberg, right? So now I think when we wake up and we see something, okay, yet another news is what it has become. But it is sad that a lot of things are coming out. But thanks to the media, so much awareness is there now. People have the courage to speak about it. And in corporate, corporate friends, what I'm seeing is a lot of companies have started encouraging their employees to speak about it. Now, still some people are scared because it is against senior management. So they are doing some anonymous complaints. They still take the route of going to media, writing some blogs in an anonymous way. But organizations are taking it up and handling it. Because I think that sensitization has come in. Organizations are very serious about it now. So it's no longer shoving it under the carpet or hushing the whole thing. They know that people are going to gang up against them, and it's no longer something, a taboo topic, or no longer something that can be silenced. So that is something that's going on. So these are some of the incidents that was there, that came out as a shocking thing when this whole thing started. Alok Nath, Nana Patekar. So Sundar Pichai was how Google people, they walked out. Google employees across the world, they did a walkout because I think they wanted the policies to be reformed. So hence, post that, Sundar Pichai said, yes, we are going to reform the complete policies. Yeah? So many instances came out. Why Me Too? So why is that people are going to media? Me Too is now actually, so the objective behind Me Too was for women to speak about it and say that, hey, even I have undergone harassment. So a lot of my male friends came in Facebook and all, they came back and said to me saying that, hey, I was not aware that so many women were getting harassed. So if you generally take a survey, if you put 100 women in a room and ask them, have you ever been harassed in your life? What do you think the percentage would be? How many would say, what percentage of women would say yes?
90.
90? 100%? Yeah. So 90 to 95% of women will say, yes, I have undergone harassment. Somewhere on walking on the road. Yeah, walking on the road. Public transport. I dread taking public transport. And I have sworn that I will not let my daughter take the public transport ever. Buses, trains, metros, and all those are the worst actually. Right? Even now I dread walking on the street alone, and it's not just in Chennai. I have noticed that trend across different cities in India. Walking 7 o'clock after dark, someone comes and pats you and goes. I'm sure majority of the women have experienced this. Okay? So does not mean that 90-95% of women have experienced it, does not mean all the men are bad. It is that probably the 20% of men which is causing this whole thing, which is kind of corrupting that thing that men are bad, is what has kind of created the scenario. There are, for all the 20% of cases that I have experienced, 80% of the cases where men have come and protected me. Be it in schools or colleges, there have been so many male colleagues who have accompanied me and dropped me and escorted me. They've taken care of me while traveling, clients' places or whatever. There's so many men who have also protected. So, sad thing is that it's kind of projected as men are bad and women, the law protects only women. So that is one thing, I think that is one of the questions that you said, why only women? So the very reason that 90-95% of women face harassment and they need protection, that is why, and they are the physically weaker sex. So hence they need the protection, and the impact on women is much higher as compared to men. Number of cases against women are also coming out. So what do you think? Do men really need the protection? Are there cases against men?
Not much they're aware of. It doesn't get
So
covered in the
same
media.
thing, let's put 100 men in a room. What do you think is the percentage now?
5%?
5?
Probably maybe another meeting.
5% or there is him too. Him too is there actually. Hash him too.
But in the case of the children,
Ah.
boys and girls, nowadays it's getting, the boys are getting harassed.
Boys are getting harassed. I know they are experiencing actually. A lot of my male colleagues have also come and told me that, hey, when I was a kid, I used to dread going to the saloon shop, the barber shop, right? They go and that time and all, we used to let kids go alone to the barber shops and all. I have been abused there. Is what men have come and told me those stories.
But then that's done by men or women?
Men. Done by
Men,
men.
yes.
So in majority of the cases, so you rightly said
getting
five.
harassed through
They need to
Facebook
be
also.
protected also.
Facebook also.
Right.
We are unfronting so many gents.
Right.
And then
So
it's, like-
5% is what among men I've heard also in my surveys also that's what has come. 5% of men get harassed. In that, 65% have been harassed by male colleagues only. 30-35 is by opposite gender. So that is what the statistics is again.
But the harassment of men, it's not sexual harassment.
It is
just
sexual harassment.
It is.
So I'm talking about only sexual harassment. So now with the 377 section has been made legal as well. The homosexual and LGBT thing and all has been made legal. So I think now people are coming out more in open. But I think it was existing earlier as well, but it was hush hush. So a lot of people, even HRs, come and tell me that, hey, I know one of my senior VP is a gay and he does not even leave the AC mechanic who walks into his cabin. So it's really sad, but we are not able to take any action because he's one of the vice presidents. So people have been suffering, people were aware of it. So just that, since it was not legal also, they were not able to take action, and there's no law to protect the men as well. So when a man raises a complaint, it is not heard, right? So I think we are also on one end fighting with the law. We are writing some petitions to make this law gender neutral like in other countries. A lot of progressive nations have made it gender neutral. I think that's something that's much needed. And though the law is only for women, when I go to corporates, I tell them to create a policy which is gender neutral. Policies within their organization, at least in your organization, make this sexual harassment a gender neutral one so that you have a buy-in from men and women. So otherwise sometimes men get very scared, hey, what if someone raises a false complaint? What will I do? Yeah. So that is the thing. So different forms of harassment. What do you think are the different forms? Workplace harassment is one type. Under that, sexual harassment comes in. Workplace harassment could be, what would be the examples of workplace harassments?
Maybe the timings. Maybe the
Timings,
timings.
overloading.
Scolding
Work
someone,
pressures.
yelling at someone, right? So there are ways to scold also, but when you scream at someone in a wrong way, right? So
Insulting also.
more work, putting in more work, pressuring, purposely, deliberately, targeting people, bullying people, right? So a lot of people, they get confused with sexual harassment or workplace harassment. They write to us with cases. Simple things like, hey, you're already so fat, why do you have to eat breakfast? Right? Why do you wear so much makeup and come? Are you trying to impress people here? Right? Makeup, wearing a makeup, simple, even for that matter, simple lipstick is also considered as people come and bully them. Right? So bullying is a kind of workplace harassment. There could be different varying forms of workplace harassment. Any discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, your sexual orientation, community, the place of origin, all this is a workplace harassment. So very common one that a lot of organizations that I've at least seen is, be it a small garment industry to a Progress is a multinational company, something that exists is favoritism to a particular community or people from particular thing, right? So you go to a multinational company which is there across India, but then you go to the Hyderabad branch, there the majority of the people who are getting promoted, all the leaders will be only Andhra people will be there. Why is that other people are not getting promoted? So is there some favoritism there? So these are harassments. When you're not promoting other people, giving preference to a particular people or giving preference to a particular religion. So these are some of the harassments that happen in workplaces. For example, like I used to hear the story from my dad when I was young. He used to work in Canara Bank. Very hard-working person. Every time he would be slogging and all those things. When during the promotion time, he would come back and say that, hey, this time I didn't get promotion because a Kannadiga got a promotion. Because the favoritism was there, preference was there for Kannadiga. Right? So
There have been instances, even in the past, companies like Godrej, where most of them were Parsis who were getting promoted. People reaching the top. It was a family policy that if you are not a Parsi, you will not reach.
Right,
the
right.
Of course, things are changing now.
but it's still there in pockets in a lot of organizations. You can see that still exists actually, right? So that is what.
So
So
nobody thought of it as harassment at all. They thought it as
We didn't even know
People
that
just thought it is normal.
it was happening.
It's only now that it's being given a different orientation, saying that it is harassment.
it is.
But even if you ask people working in the organization at that time, I have dealt with them on a day-to-day basis. Not one ever complained.
Right.
Nobody complained.
Right.
So I'm just saying.
But I
that
think
not a
now
perception.
it's like kind of coming out something like, okay, hospital, matlab only Reddy's are getting promoted in that particular hospital. There are other doctors cribbing about it. So I have some doctor friends from that hospital, so people are cribbing. Doesn't mean that other doctors are not capable enough, right? So that is what now is coming out as thing. And similarly, even gender, okay? One sales manager one day came to me and said, hey, this lady, in my team, I have 2 team members in my thing. The lady is a senior thing. She just came back from her maternity leave of 6 months. And she had a young baby. So there was a conference that came up in Singapore, 2-day conference. I didn't nominate her because I knew she will not be able to go because her child and all is there. So I nominated another guy. But this girl came back and fought with me. Did I do something wrong? I actually did a good thing for her, right? So what went wrong here? So the lady came back and said, hey, I am senior than the other guy. And this is an annual conference. I was waiting to go for this 2-day thing. And you didn't nominate me, but you nominated the other guy. Why did you do that? Right? So whereas the manager thought he was doing a favor for the girl. She said, hey, I have my family supporting I'm not feeding my baby. My baby is not dependent on me. 2 days my mother could have taken care of the baby. I would have gone to the conference and come. For me that was important. That would have added value for my career, but you didn't give me the opportunity. So there is a discrimination out there again. So these are small, subtle things where harassments can happen, where people can feel harassed. Right? But unconsciously sometimes we are doing because we have been tuned that way, we've been brought up that way. We assume things for others. Right? So this is something that we're talking about in terms of diversity and inclusion as well, where I am spreading awareness on how diversity helps. So I think people from diverse groups working together, it's proven that an organization's productivity increases by 30%. So that is another proven thing that's coming up, slowly catching up in India. It is there in a lot of global organizations. Now this thought is coming out in India. Yeah? So that is one thing. So that is the workplace harassment part. I'll move on to sexual harassment. So sexual harassment is a subset of harassment overall. Sexual is anything unwelcome, anything sexual in nature, and very clearly the law very clearly says impact is what matters, not the intent of the person. Okay. So many times men, after the case has been filed, men come back and say, hey, this is the way I do. I've been cracking double meaning dialogues for a very long time, but no one cribbed about it. Why is this girl alone having a problem? Maybe she should change her thought. She should learn to be cool, right? But law very clearly says, and I did not intend to harass. This is the way I've been trying to make the environment very light, right? So office environment, I'm trying to make it light. So his intention was not to harass that person, but the impact on that individual was there. And law very clearly says, it is the impact on the individual is what matters, not your intent. Whether you intended or not, does not matter, right? So another common case to
Is
explain.
it a recent law? It's been there for years.
Last 5 years. This law came in 2013.
Okay,
So-
so it was there, like impact and intent was already-
Impact and intent was mentioned in that 2013 thing. Yeah.
What
So
will happen now?
that is a very thin line where people get confused. What is impact? What is intent? So for example, probably I come from a city, a metro city where hugging is pretty common. I go and hug people, right? Tomorrow someone from a tier 2, tier 3 city joins my organization. If I go and hug an opposite gender, assuming, I go and hug that person, will that person be okay? My intention was not to harass him, but this is the way I've been doing it with everyone, or probably the office culture was like that. If that person finds it, see, obviously hugging, not everyone is comfortable with that, right? So if that person finds it harassing, the person has the right to go and complain. We need to set these things. Awareness, sensitization is what is really important. Sometimes people get scared. Hey, now should I even talk to the opposite gender? Should I even?
Why would you look at the bed?
So I think that's what I tell. A lot of people get scared, but I think.
Vitiate the atmosphere in the organization with all this kind of.
I'm sorry.
Vitiate the atmosphere, the working atmosphere.
See, that is what the whole
Everybody
point.
all the time be alert to what you're saying and whom you're talking to.
Right. So see, I always tell them that hey, there's nothing to get scared. Just be aware what is right. Understand the opposite gender. Respect the diversity and respect the background from which people come in. So will the same thing? Will you do it to a Muslim woman? Go and hug that woman? Will we even dance to someone who's in burqa? Will we do that? We won't do that. Similarly, so why do we do it to other people? So let's respect them. Let's understand. See, once you're comfortable with people, once you work with them 5-6 months, you're familiar with the person, then know the person is like that person also exhibits the same behavior. Go and exhibit the same behavior.
See,
Right?
sometimes we care for a particular woman, right? She is so what to say? She looks so pretty, or she attracts more, right? We say okay, tune down. Okay, say don't wear kulsu, don't walk. Is it considered as a sexual harassment?
எப்ப மாறும் தெரியாது எப்ப மாறும் தெரியாது
See, it is caring actually, right? You divert others' attention.
Okay, so let me take the case. Okay, so maybe Gulsu was the thing. Maybe she wears lipstick and comes. Don't say, why do you wear lipstick and come? Right? So see, wearing lipstick now has become a very common thing.
Okay.
But there are complaints where people get actually people come and tell them, hey, why do you wear lipstick and come? Are you trying to attract people here? So it is a thin thing. See, and thin line, and even similarly, even dress. Okay, people's choice. What they wear. So as long as your dress code does not violate it, if the dress code violates, you can go and question, right? But maybe in an office formal where they're wearing trousers and then wearing gulsu and coming, maybe that is not a right combination. So maybe you can highlight saying, hey, this is not a right combination. Maybe wear it with a sari or something that makes sense. But office environment, it is disturbing others. You highlight it that way. But don't go and tell her that, hey, you're distracting someone else, or maybe you're calling for attention. Don't wear it. Don't say that way. Okay? The way you tell it.
Organizations need overall, if in cases like this, what I experienced, there is a overall dress code, but addressed to everybody, not just one person,
Correct.
Now, the kolusu wearing or not wearing is not for one person. There must be a organization-wide note saying that what should be, how you should dress yourself in office.
Correct.
So then becomes okay for everybody.
Correct.
Not to one particular person.
But
Right.
it's not because of it. You scare somebody. So tell that way.
See, if you care for someone also, way you have to tell it is very important actually. How the person takes it. At the end of it, how the person takes it is what matters.
See, I think the whole matter context what I understand is the person being a person. It looks like, some employee joins new and you fill a form. You say, I like hugging. No. You can tick mark and say. So that form should be something. Then we should know what he likes, what doesn't like to say. And then become more, more.
And you have to circulate it to all the employees.
That's right.
No, so the point is, see, the thing is severity. I think, see, this kind of thing, maybe a simple warning, hey, don't do it with this person is what it is. No serious action is going to be taken for this particular thing.
There was an article also I read on psychoanalysis of people who start thinking this way. They lose their focus on work. There's no smooth flow on the mind. Every time they're petrified whether I should do this or should not do that. So that's why even the work, in fact, the outflow of the work, the production reduces. That's what the article is carrying.
See, that is what at the end of it, follow a general thumb rule where everyone's comfortable. Create that behavior, right? So that is the whole thing. And the example of the double meaning dialogue that I was doing, that was a real life incident that happened. So this was a 55-year-old gentleman in a senior position. He was there at that organization and he was doing this. So he was going to Gurgaon office and in Chennai office. So we checked when the case came in, we checked with the Gurgaon office. He said, yeah, he always cracks double meaning here. But we told laugh it out. Gurgaon, they were pretty cool about it. But it's a Chennai lady, she came out and said, and it was something open, something specific about her inner garments. So she couldn't take it. She said, hey, we've been doing a series of these things, but the last comment I cannot take it. And there was enough proof and everything. So, and then we called this person, he said, hey, I was just trying to lighten the environment. But the point is, as a senior person, you have to set a culture in the organization. If you're cracking double meaning dialogues, what is the example that you're setting for everyone? You're setting the example that it's okay to crack double meaning dialogues, is what the culture that you're setting, which is not a right kind of culture. You don't want that kind of culture.
Personality disorder. It could be a personality disorder, and he needs to be treated. Because sometimes they like to hear whatever they are saying, which is not acceptable to their colleague or the subordinate. And right now I am handling a case like that.
Okay.
So, and the senior most person in the organization is doing this, and can you set an example? And otherwise he's a perfect person. So there is a disorder in the personality, I feel. I mean, that's what he needs to change or address.
Yeah. So I think that's sort of being a bit more sensitive to these things that people can come from different backgrounds is what is important in larger organizations or in any organization. Yeah. So some of the statistics, I think 22 out of every 100 in our survey were victims to this. How much time do I have more?
10 minutes.
10 more minutes? 5-10 minutes? Okay, yeah. So what are the different forms of harassment? 67% verbal, written is the least because of clear evidence and proof, right? So who are the harassers? Reporting managers 38%, who are harassers, and colleagues 60%, 65%. Yeah. Many of them were not even comfortable to report. 62% did not get reported, 2% got reported to the police. People were embarrassed or scared to even report it. Most of the cases, silently people prefer to walk out of the organization and find another job and move. They don't want to burn bridges, it's taboo. In a lot of cases, women can't even go and tell their husbands, hey, I'm being harassed, that's why I'm moving out. If that is the case, the husband will say, hey, stop going to work, stay at home. Or similarly with parents also, right? So that is the thing. Some of the common forms of harassment in most of the organizations, a lot of organizations that I speak to, HRs come and tell me that, hey, ours is a very orthodox, very safe kind of environment, traditional kind of thing. But trust me, when I go there, when I do the session, at the end of my session, 50% will say we were happy, 50% will have some complaint or the other, some issues. Hey, someone's proposing me. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Is it better now? Yeah. Okay. So 50% of them come back and say that, hey, people have been staring at us, people are passing comments which are not really required. So someone has been stalking me for a very long time. I'm a single lady, this person has been stalking. These are all the comments that do come out in light after when sensitization is created at least, right? So staring, stalking and gossips, office gossips are some of the most common forms that is there in a lot of organizations. Office gossip, how can that be a harassment? Somebody else, right? I think, hey, this girl, that boy, probably an extramarital affair is happening here. So it becomes an office water cooler discussion, right? I think now with my extramarital affair that you were talking about, it's something that, I don't know, it's becoming very more common in a lot of organizations. And people do come and tell me that, hey, I know this girl is a young girl and that guy is already married. Should I go warn the girl? Will I be doing a favor? Am I protecting the girl by telling that? So what do you think? Should we actually go and tell the girl about it? Not.
You know very well all the consequences.
Why should it? Why should somebody?
They are not
Girl is an adult.
She ought to know that he's
She's an
married.
adult.
That is my point. I always say, hey, they are two adults, okay? And whether it is an affair, extramarital or thing, proper relationship, as long as they are doing it outside the office, it's not our problem. Don't get involved in that, right? As long as they don't bring it within the work. And within the work, if they are distracting by some public display of affection, or if they are distracting others, then you have to question. Otherwise, don't question them on, don't do moral policing at all. That's not.
I think we would have heard of this case earlier. One of the CEOs was an employee.
Punish Murthy.
Yeah.
IG.
When that particular case came out, of this sexual harassment case came out, then they made it a mandate that you would have to give your name in case you have any relationship with anybody who moved on.
Okay, so yeah.
Is that being followed in
Okay,
most
so
of the
it is not a mandate per se, but what the thing is, that case was the Fanish Murthy case in I case. So what happened there was Fanish Murthy was having a relationship with his affair is a more negative word, affair with his subordinate, his sole personal secretary, and the lady got pregnant. Fanish Murthy said, let's abort the baby, let's not go with the baby. That is when she got shocked and she went and complained to the board saying that, hey, I thought his love for me was genuine, but it's not genuine because he was just taking time to take advantage of me. Is what she went and complained of harassment. Fanish Murthy goes back to the board and says, hey, no, I have enough proof, it is mutual, it is consensual, yeah. I have already burnt my fingers in Infosys, so this is consensual. But the point was there in that organization, in their organization, very clearly they have something called relationship policy, where a boss cannot have a relationship with a subordinate. And if they have to declare it. And all that they have to do is they can declare it and they can continue the relationship provided one of them is not in the reporting relationship. One of them has to move to a different project or different team. So that was the policy, and Fanish Murthy failed to inform the board about it, and hence he was asked to leave. So it is a policy which organizations have. There is no mandated law thing, but ideally, any relationship between subordinate and superior has to be informed to the HR. The reason being, there can be a very clear conflict of interest. A power play is there. So that is something that I have been observing, the trend of who the harassers are. Harassers typically are senior people who have the power. They think that they can get away with it. And it's not the joy of even harassing someone sexually, but it is the joy of they are under my control. I can show them the power. Right? So that is the thing so that's the reason when you see all the senior people were caught off. Harvey Weinstein, George W. Bush Sr. He was also called out, right? So many senior people's name came out. It was all powerful people. They thought they can get away with it, right? So it's shocking to hear. Vairamuthu was like considered as a god. Why would he do this? I think it was that power.
Outside God was being talked about in age, but when things has come, it become very crystallized. Vairamuthu God was known
Sorry, I was shocked actually. For me, I was like thinking of the god and all those things. So for me, yeah.
கவிதை எழுதுறதுல அவர் God.
அதுதான் அந்த கவிதையை பார்த்துட்டு தான் I was thinking like what lyrics and all those things, but after that incident it is like kind of shock. Yeah. So anyway, so I think that is one of the trends that kind of we have noticed by senior people. So there are instances even among the younger ones, junior folks getting caught in the cases, but that is more of relationships break up, going bad, and someone deeply in love and proposing to someone repeatedly, stalking someone. So those are the kind of incidents with the younger generation, but misusing power is with senior people. And that is a very clear conflict of interest. Let's say a boss is having a relationship with one of the subordinates, will the other people be happy working under this boss? During appraisal time or during promotions, they'll be scared saying, hey, that girl is going to get a promotion, I'm not going to get a promotion, however hard I work. So there's no motivation for others to work in the team. So it is considered an offense for a boss to work because of conflict of interest. So ideally, I recommend all organizations to go and have a policy, call it as relationship policy, where not just affairs or relationships, but even siblings, any relatives, blood relation or spouses, blood relation cannot work in the same team, in the same reporting line.
So we have a rule for that.
It's called a policy. You just have a policy, no act or no legal law, but as a policy, it's a good practice to have it. Like a dress code policy that you have in an organization, you can have a relationship policy. I'll move on. So I think we've spoken about who are the victims and who are the harassers we spoke about. Who are the victims typically again? From my experience again, it's all the soft targets. People who don't really speak up or people who are pretty soft, they become the targets. Something. So in my sessions, I always go and tell them, women especially, speak up. Okay. Lot of cases, see the kind of that hug and all those things, the impact was the intent. I tell them, hey, tell the person first. Don't go running and don't go complaining to the HR or to the committee, but tell the person first time. Hey, I didn't like what you're doing. Don't do it. Okay. Even for example, for that matter, someone coming and proposing to someone, right? Probably it could be a genuine proposal, right? So let's say a Raja goes and proposes to Rani. Rani keeps quiet, Raja proposes and Rani keeps quiet. What is the message she's passing to Raja? All of some of them, right? But what is Rani, what else could Rani be thinking? She's avoiding, probably 15 years.
After 10 years, Rani will have guts.
To complain.
Too late.
Okay. So, see, from Rani's perspective, probably she doesn't like Raja, she wants to avoid. That's why she's keeping quiet. So, in this case, I would say Rani is at fault. It's not Raja. Raja probably was genuine. Rani should have spoken and she should have gone and told Raja, hey, Raja, I probably have another boyfriend or I'm not interested in you, please stop. Had she gone and told, gives a clear message to Raja. Otherwise, Raja is confused. Raja thinks, oh, probably Rani is shy, Maunam, Sammadam. So all these things, it is confusing, and men and women are made different. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Wiring is completely different. Men need to be told certain things. Women, even subtle things, they find out. Right? So those are some of the things where I tell women also to be speaking up and tell the person directly. That really helps in the first instance. Right? So that is something that is about the victims. So as victims, I think one of the questions, as victims I always tell them speak up to the harasser first. If that doesn't work out or if you don't have the guts to speak to the harasser, go to the committee and report it in your organization. Talk to the HR or the CEO if required. Yeah. As witness, always the first thing is protect the victim. Try to get the victim out of the thing. Distract, create a distraction and get the victim out of the situation, and then encourage the victim to go and report. So that should be the witness role. As a harasser, how do you find out whether you're a harasser or not? Any tips?
Read your book.
Huh?
I said read your book.
Read my book. Okay. What tip? How do you find out whether you're a harasser or not? Any tip? What if my name comes in media tomorrow? Something that happened 10 years ago. I think that is a big thing actually. So you think that this might get reported in the newspapers and you don't want your name to appear in the newspaper. That's a big thing that you should not do it. Another tip that I tell people that watch out for people's reaction, the opposite person's reaction, whether they like the behavior, something they will not feel comfortable, they'll probably step back when you're told that, they will not smile if you have cracked a double meaning joke, right? So watch out for these instances and probably stop these behaviors. And another very strong tip is if you're cracking some joke or if you're doing some behavior, will you do that behavior in front of your child or in front of your spouse or in front of your parents? If you won't do it in front of them, then don't do it. That means you're harassing.
Ordinary joke will let you.
So opposite gender kita office ladikadinga. So that is the whole point. So that was a very effective tip.
At a very, very early stage, as I was telling 15 years back, I mean, there are a lot of occasions where the lady wants some favors from the men, or the men want some favors from them, and they accept everything. After 15 years, you come out and say, when you really become reasonably a bigger person, you say that I have become bold, so I am coming out with all this.
Yes,
What
that
was
is something
happening
wrong.
to
See,
people-
if you've accepted
No, that is
and
what
taken
is
the favors,
happening in
if
many
you've
of
taken the favors, then it's completely wrong. But see, in the case of Tanushree Zadar, she clearly said that I've stopped acting because of that. I had to walk out of the role. But she was impacted. So she took it out and come. See, you've taken advantage if you've come up in life because of that, and then now coming and complaining is something that's something.
Filmy area, this is those days I'm talking about. Early
See,
years.
I've seen that also. So the thing is, at least in corporates, very clearly we tell victims to give a written complaint. They have to sign it saying, hey.
Corporate is totally
So that is
different.
what is the different thing. So there at least I can say that. So there was one particular case that I was handling where one person was harassing a lot of young girls. So people who took his favors, who were okay with his favors and got a promotion because of that, they did not come forward to sign with him. They did not sign the complaint letter. They kept quiet because they were scared that he will go and question them. Then they lose their job. Right? So people who were suffering and came out anyway. So I'm almost at the end of my session. So top preventive measures, how organizations are reacting is create a policy for your organizations, create a strong committee, a mature committee which will handle these cases, who believe in the cause, create sensitization to all your employees, let them know where to report it, where they can comment, give them, empower them. So that is something that's very important. So I think those are some of the things that really help effective handling of cases by the internal committee, building a strong company culture, stricter punishments and awareness through multiple means. Right?
You know, one of the things that organizations do it, ask that guy to go on leave. That's what is happening today. Especially if he's a senior fellow, he's asked to go on leave.
So immediately the thing is they go on leave till the time the inquiry is completed and then they immediately take action. I think that's probably stopgap measurement so that media and all those things, if senior person, I think sometimes they have to do that so that media and employees, it does not distract further. So even Binny Bansal case, I think he wrote a letter saying, I'm sorry, it's been distracting everyone. Yeah. So sometimes we have to do that if required, depending on the cases.
See, in all these cases, particularly cases which sort of come up after 15 or 20 years of the actual so-called harassment, one factor that is never taken into account is the fact that the guy, whatever he is accused of, at that time when indeed he was young, and when you are young you have a different orientation, you are impetuous, you are sometimes immature, but then the person evolves over a period of time. He becomes more person, he evolves, but that is never factored in. You go and accuse somebody what he did 20 years ago, when he was still young, still mischievous, still impetuous, and then you said he did this to me 20 years ago, and then the law takes it seriously. That's what I felt.
See, law takes it seriously. Now what happened to Vairamuthu, what happened to Alakna? Nothing happened, right? So what happened? Nothing happened. The idea was, see, the thing is the victim who has gone through it, that is the whole point, but why did he do that? It has impacted someone, right?
5 years expired date.
See, reputation, on one hand we are talking about the reputation, but what is the victim? See, it's a lifelong scar that the victim has gone through. Right? Somewhere she wants to bring it up. She wants to say it, right? And in the case of Tanushrita, she came out, so many other women also came out and said yes.
But it's a strong message also to the future generations.
Future generations, right, exactly.
All come back.
That's a very valid point. Future generations saying, hey, watch out. Right.
Be very careful.
Correct.
The fear has positively come in.
Correct. Correct.
That's a good thing.
So yeah, very, very valid point. So I keep thanking the media, though media keep reporting it left, right and center, social media and all those things. I keep thanking them so much of awareness. Yeah. So that is something that's very much there. So
Yes,
end of my
we
thing.
also need, does an organization like Rotary also need a gender sensitivity committee? Director?
No, I think you should probably, make it diverse in all your policies and any decisions, make it inclusive so that you factor in, and not just gender, I would say. So make it inclusive for all communities, all religions, and factor in those kind of things so that at least there's no discrimination on those fronts. Yeah. I think a lot of organizations are gearing up now. I think people are coming out as LGBT
Set
and all
an
these
example
things.
to the society.
Excellent. That's a very valid point. Yeah.
This, the more noise there is about the Me Too movement, there is a serious possibility that particularly small firms, they won't engage women at all.
Correct. Or caring will come down.
Why invite trouble, particularly for small firms. So I think women
See, I think more than the sexual harassment, I think the Maternity Act has been a big deterrent for people to hire, because 6 months of leave that they have to give. Smaller firms, they cannot afford to give a 6 months paid leave. That is a deterrent, a bigger deterrent
Cost
than.
factor should be arrived in such a way, right from the day one salary should be designed like that.
That is the government.
I don't know if Infosys or TCS, I don't know which
Paternity
organization.
leave also.
I think there was a
There are
proposal that somebody marries within the organization. He was given a bonus.
See, it is about encouraging people to get married, so they work together for a longer time. They're more
Has to
loyal to
come
the
after an affair. I mean, a love affair,
See,
not a
this
physical.
is okay, see, attention,
That was an
attention.
encouragement.
Yeah. No, see, the point is, see, having a relationship at work is not illegal. So some organizations like TVS and all, they have very clear policies saying no relationship at work. McDonald's says in the same store if people are working, they cannot have an affair. Right? So, but it's okay, one of them has to go to a different store. See, in Infosys also, since I come from Infosys, what I know is relationship, if you are subordinate and superior, you cannot have an affair. But between colleagues it is okay. 2 different projects and all those things, it is okay to have a relationship. And they encourage that because they both husband and wife will come together because their offices are so far away from the cities. They'll work together, they'll probably shift together closer to the office itself. They'll stay there, the families will grow together, they can go to on-site, come back together. So they encourage that way, for them it is okay.
The point is that relationship does not work on those rules.
See, a lot of times office romance is something best to be avoided actually. It causes a lot of trouble and headache. So
One factor is பயந்தாங்கொல்லியா இருந்தா ஃப்ரீயா இருக்கும். வீட்டுக்கு வரவே வராது.
The unorganized sector, because this Vishaga committee and all that you have talked about now comes under the organized, and then more privileged few who can go to the media, and then the privileged few who can sign the
true,
papers
very true,
and other things.
very true.
What about the maids and other little girls in the unorganized sector, and even household help who are getting harassed on a daily
True,
basis?
very true. So the law also covers them actually. Law says not just corporates or it says public, private, organizations, government institutes, schools, colleges, hospitals. Everywhere women have to be protected, including your home. Home. Your home also. Because your home is a workplace for a maid. Right? And very clearly it says any organization which has more than 10 employees. So if your house, if you have more than 10 people working for you, like the Ambani has some 120 people, they have to have a committee. Right? So that people can think. But otherwise for the unorganized where you have only 2 or 3 maids, there's something called, so for this, within your organization you have something called internal committee. Right? For otherwise, the unorganized, they have something called local committee at the district levels. So they can go to the district office or they can go to the state women commission and file a complaint there. So they don't have to really go to a police station, but they can approach these things. But the point is, how many
Nobody does, right? Because
nobody
it's a
does,
job.
nobody, the awareness is not there.
Awareness.
And only in metro, from my knowledge, only the metros, these committees are there, local committees are there. Others are, they've not even, government has not formed the committees also. So that is the sad part.
I was talking to a senior policeman. He's saying the crime will increase after this Me Too. Because people who have one complaint, there are a lot of revenge also being taken, you know. So they're saying they will be worried about that also.
Okay.
I have a, as a parent or as a brother, the other side of the fair, being this topic has talked much in the recent days and we are seeing a lot of real events also. This has created a panic amongst, those who are sending kids to classes, coaching classes or any classes where there are no other batchmates or this thing. Will it not spoil their opportunity also? Too much panic or too much this thing. For example, now we have reduced sending kids to such places, but we really don't know whether those places are very safe or not.
No
But
place is
just
safe.
because we are because of the fear, we stop doing certain things.
See,
This may
correct.
get rid of them from the opportunity.
Very true. One thing is something, sometimes even I feel that I think the resilience among the kids is also because they're getting too protected that they cannot face the world themselves.
That's also there.
For example, when I was in second grade, third grade, I used to walk to school 2 kilometers away, walk alone to the school. Will I send my daughter to the school alone now on the roads? I will dare not do that because I'm scared, more worried. I'm more paranoid now. Right? And it's not just about sexual harassment but even trafficking of children. Trafficking, not traffic, trafficking, kidnapping. So that has also increased a lot. We are hearing so many cases that we are seeing. So it is, I think, the awareness that we are getting. Earlier days, probably the awareness, the reporting in the media and all was not, social media was not there. People are not reporting it at least. But now I think this thing, I think that thing, yeah, I think probably kids are losing out on
Awareness
opportunities.
should not go to the next level. You shouldn't get panic and stop doing sending kids to playgrounds.
Karate class also.
Yeah.
So I think, but now I think on the other hand, we are creating the awareness to child also come and tell me if something is touching, doing some wrong touch or something. I think at least that level of awareness is also there, and we are equipping the child also. Learn, have a pepper spray, carry a pepper spray. Learn do a kick, right kick on the chin. Even a strong person will go unconscious. Those kind of tips really helps. Those self-defense mechanisms, I think they are even trying to do it that way on the other end. So,
Do you think the world has become more vicious?
do I think? No.
Yeah.
So what is it?
Has the world become more vicious today than it was 30,
dangerous.
40 years ago? I mean, from your research.
No,
No,
you
I
say
think,
that
yeah.
now you are afraid,
Yeah.
but you were not afraid. Your
See, that is
kid
what
is-
the awareness. See, awareness was not there that much. So we were not exposed so much. But now I think we are now exposed. We are hearing. It is bliss. Ignorance. You're right. Ignorance was
I
bliss.
think communication is also more now.
More,
It's
yeah.
easier nowadays because of social media.
Yeah.
Easier to communicate and even to call a girl, the landline. We used to have signals and somebody calls and all those things. Now everybody has a phone. Everybody
Correct.
has communication skills
peaceful
and
these
social
days.
media is more now. I feel so. So it's
more,
easier.
yeah. It's not
Crime is
that,
also more because
it's not
innovative
vicious
methods
or
are
anything
being
of that
used.
sort. I wouldn't say
Methods of
that.
crime.
Yeah.
But there's that awareness become more actually. So see that I think the Chennai the Perambur case, which one? Parashvakan case, the little girl thing in the flat. Ainavaram case.
Oh yes.
Vision scale.
No, Ainavaram case.
Parents failure was there. For
16
6 months, 8 months,
6
parents
months.
Sunnyvale apartments.
Huh.
It's happened there.
Okay. So
Parents are little vigilant, they could have stopped.
no, but the point is the entire community had raped a child, 23, from 23-year-old to 60-year-old were involved. So I was actually analyzing, is it something the younger generation were doing, but looking at it, 60-year-old men were involved. So what happened where they were like kind of brought up long time ago, so their upbringing was failed or our upbringing has failed. What has gone wrong? It is like everyone were involved. Not a single one raised an alarm.
Every time they are the culprits. Even the youngsters used to protect
So
the
has it been vicious from then or has it been vicious now? So I was like perplexed, what is wrong?
As you said, being a soft target, it provokes, criminals.
Very thing, soft target. The child was soft target. Right?
That child was child.
Yeah,
was
mentally
Couldn't,
challenged.
so very soft target, couldn't speak out, so very clearly a soft target, yeah. So I think they are the more vulnerable ones. So during when I go to corporates and all, I tell them, train your housekeeping staff. A lot of time they don't train the housekeeping staff. Big organization, they have 20, 30 housekeeping ladies. They are a vulnerable population. Train them, right? Tell them that, hey, this committee is there. Come and report it to us. You don't have to be scared, right? So all those vulnerable contractors are vulnerable again. So it's easier for an organization to replace a contractor, whereas they are needing month on month their salaries depending on their employment, right?
The root cause for many problems is moral classes have been discontinued in the schools.
Correct.
20
Yeah,
years.
that's
20 years.
really-
When I was studying in Xavier's, till 7th standard, moral class was there. So what is right, what is wrong, we know. The consciousness border was there. Now there is no border. Whatever I want to do, I do. Why people are shouting at me?
Moral science.
Correct. Moral science is not there now.
It should be brought back.
But value
Maybe
education,
one
value education is there, and it's also up to the school and the class teacher and the teachers to impart this on an everyday basis. It's not like as a
Parents, see, there is no point in depending on their teachers. Parents play a very crucial role.
family
Yeah.
background.
What upbringing and what behavior they exhibit is what is important actually. Yeah. See, sexual harassment is what is the legal framework. They are planning. See, I think what I've been reading is, for me, to all the cases that have got reported in the media, what action so they're supposed to form a committee and they're supposed to take some action against Vairamuthu or Aloknath or all those things.
nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening on that because I think it's pretty complicated. What did they do 20 years ago? Something that happened.
Another 20 years it will take.
So,
But this shaming, you see, I meet Vairamuthu I used to meet Vairamuthu every other day when walking to the beach because he's also, now he avoids me. He doesn't want to look at me.
Really? He avoids you?
But, I mean, he doesn't look at me.
but he still goes for the walking.
Yeah, far less than before.
Yeah, that's the punishment.
Yeah.
Correct.
That is the punishment.
I think that is.
But I think for that matter, even Chinmay will dare not come out walking now.
Yeah.
See, even she's being shamed for having raised, right?
There's no evidence to prove it, I mean, but he feels embarrassed. Yet to be proved.